Hello learners, Namaskar. I am Pragya, welcoming you in your YouTube channel English Seeker. Today it's time to fulfill my promise about providing you second video of A Letter to God written by G.L. Fuentes, in which I will explain the character sketch of Lancho and the postmaster by starting with the key points and end with the story in a nutshell. So let's start. The very first key points. So, key points of this chapter are: Lancho is a hard-working farmer whose crop is destroyed. He writes a letter to God asking for 100 pesos. An employee brings the letter to the postmaster who reads it. He decides to help Lancho and collect 70 pesos by contributing from his salary and coaxing his friends with the other employees of the post office to engage in an act of charity. Lancho comes to the post office to find out whether he has received a response. The postmaster hands over to him the envelope with the money. Lancho opens it and finds it has 30 pesos less than what he had asked for. He writes a letter to God, blaming the employees of the post office and the postmaster of having stolen his money. So these were the key points. Now we will discuss about the character sketch of Lancho. So let's start. Lancho was a hardworking farmer. His faith in God was unwavering. He was simple, naive, and trusting. He worked like an ox in his fields and believed that God was watching over him and his family. He was filled with joy when he saw that his crop was doing well. When his crop failed, his immense faith in God made him write a letter to God asking him for money. Joy had turned to despair for a while, but his faith in God gave him hope. He hoped and believed that God would help him. He is hopeful in adversity. When the money arrived, the gullible Lancho believed that God had sent it to him. He did not imagine that God could send him less money than he had asked for. This shows his immense faith in God. He believed that the postmaster and the employees at the post office had taken the money more than his distrust in his fellow men. This highlights the extent of his faith in God and how he thought God would never abandon him. So now it's time for the second character sketch, and that is the character sketch of postmaster. So let's start. The postmaster in the story is a kind and caring man. He was an amiable spirit. He believes in God but is not as naive as Lancho. He decides to help Lancho since he does not want Lancho to lose faith in God. As an act of charity, he donates part of his salary to gather enough money for Lancho. He asks his employees and friends to contribute money to the cause. This shows he was a kind, helpful, and compassionate and very caring man. Now we were on our, at the last of our video. So it's time for the story in a nutshell. So let's start. A letter to God revolves around the unshakable belief that a poor farmer Lancho has in God. Moved by his faith, some kind people decide to help him, but it is only partial. But Lancho, believing that God could not have failed him, distrusts and blames the very benefactors who had collected the money to help him. So this was the story in a nutshell. We will meet in the next video. Till then, stay tuned and stay connected. Thank you.